This is the third video in a series of videos on Relate to Profit instructions. I'm going to cover how to schedule activities and complete activities with your contacts. This is definitely a separator for Relate to Profit from other CRM systems. We can record a variety of different types of activities, and I'll demonstrate that for you here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to contacts, and I am going to search for contacts. And I'm going to cover something that I probably should have covered in the previous video, and that is this I want to list. When I pull this down, I have a series of activities, a series of operations that I can execute on my search results. I can select these participants for a pipeline program. This is a Referral Institute program where I would attend with my referral source. So I can, there's a feature in here that allows you to manage your participation in the pipeline program. I can also export the selected contacts to Constant Contact. I can export them to quote actions. I can delete the selected contacts. I can assign these selected contacts to a group, and I can add an activity or a sequence of activities to all of the selected contacts at once. So this list is available on this search results page, and you can select the contacts that you want this to apply to by using this checkbox. So I could develop a search results for all of my profitable clients and add an activity, for instance, or I could export them all to Constant Contact and make a special list for whatever my search results has returned. So that's kind of a powerful I want to capability that I neglected to cover in the last video. So in this video we're going to talk about activities. So I'm going to select Mike Macedonio, and I am going to go to the View Activities page, and as you can see, I don't have any activities listed because I haven't used Relate to Profit in quite a while. So I'm going to open up this date range here, and I'm going to go back a few years. I'm going to go back to, let's say, 2011, November 1st, 2011. Click Display, and you can see all of the activities that I have scheduled with Mike since that time. And you'll see that there's the activity. There are notes on the activity, which will pop up when I mouse over the question mark. There's a start date, completion date, priorities, projected revenue, and actual revenue. These are important. This is, again, specific to Relate to Profit that allows us not only to track revenue for a particular contact, but this revenue can be rolled up and associated with the referral source, and I will show you that later in this video. So if this was a referral activity, referral information would be shown here. This is if I referred Mike to another one of my contacts. This is if I referred Mike to. This is if I referred one of my contacts to Mike, the opposite of this, and then this is if I received a referral from Mike. And again, I can click on this modify button and I can edit this activity. I'll show you how to add a new activity and modify activity in a few minutes. If I scroll down to the bottom of this, there's some very interesting information here at the bottom that I want to point out. For this particular date range, I have projected that Mike's revenue would be $7,000. His actual revenue turned out to be $6,000. So this is a quick snapshot of Mike as a client. the revenue he has generated for me directly as a client. The referral revenue, though, is what is most important. So the referral revenue looks at the revenue that I have recorded from people that Mike has referred to me. And you can see by this total revenue amount here at the bottom that Mike has been a very valuable referral source for me over time. So the first generation referrals are the people that he has referred to me directly. Second generation referrals are those referrals that came from these people. Third generation and fourth generation and so on are the money. This is the revenue generated from referrals from the second generation, from the third generation, and finally the total. So this is working its way back up the referral tree, if you will, to show that not only Mike's first generation referrals have been valuable, but I have received referrals from them and from them and from them going further and further down. There are other reports that show this. I've put it on this page because this page is used a lot and I want it to be very visible how important a particular contact is. So I'm going to show you this in one other example. Keep this number in mind here as I go and look at another contact. I'm going to look at Paula Frazier's information, and I'm going to look at her activity information. And again, my date range stays set to November 1st, 2011. If I scroll to the bottom and look at the revenue that she has generated for me, it's kind of interesting. She referred me to Mike Macedonio. So all of Mike's referrals show up here as a second generation from Paula, because Paula referred me to Mike, which would be here, and then Mike referred me to all those other people, which are here. So you can see how this referral revenue kind of trace or tree works to track how I received this revenue, which referrals generated this revenue. So this is kind of cool. I like both Mike and Paula quite a bit. They've been good to me, and it shows up here. So let's go and talk about how we add activities at this point. So I'm going to click on, well, I'm on Paula's record, and that's okay. I'm going to add a new activity with Paula. And so I have three choices, and I'm going to cover all three choices with you. So the simplest choice is there's no referral with this activity. I'm just recording some activity, some time that I am spending, or something that I am doing with or for Paula. So let's say that I am going to do a follow-up activity with Paula. I am going to provide her with a gift today. I'm going to complete it today. It's a high priority. I'm going to offer to take her to dinner. It's not going to generate any revenue directly. This is not projected referral revenue. This is projected revenue directly on this activity. And I'm going to click Save. If this activity had already completed, I could put in completed information here. I click Save. And now that activity shows up right here at the top of the list. I can click on Modify, and I can go in and I can modify this any way that I want. Okay? Now I'm going to add a referral type activity. So this is it. I'm going to add a referral from Paula to me. So what this is saying is Paula is referring one of her contacts to me. So what I would do is I would enter that contact in my database before I came to this screen. So let's say she is referring her husband to me. So Neil is already in my database. I've already entered him. So I select Neil. I come down here and I select a referral activity. Now I don't have to, but I want to be consistent. So because this is a referral, I'm going to select referral activity, and I'm going to select how she made this referral. I'm going to say it's a closed deal. Let's say it happened today. It was a high priority. Sold my web service. And I am not going to be allowed to record revenue on this because it's not the actual referral that generates the revenue. It's when I schedule activities with Neil that I would put revenue on. So I'll explain that more in a minute. Let's say that we haven't quite completed this yet, so I'll leave this blank and I will click Save. And so now you will see the closed deal activity here, and you'll see that the referral from Paula is to Neil. So one more type of activity to show you. This is a referral from me to Paula. So I am going to refer one of my contacts, again already in my database. I am going to refer one of my contacts to Paula. Again, I'm going to select the referral activity type for consistency, and I am going to say that I described her products and services to Sean. Now, I can change the date if I want to. I can change the priority, and again, I can't assign revenue directly to the referral. It would be up to Paula in her relate to profit to assign any revenue that Sean generates by recording activities with Sean. And again, I'm going to click Save. And that activity shows up here that I have referred Sean Peters to Paula Frazier. So I've talked a little bit about recording revenue activities. And so that is kind of, it's a separate thing from the referral. So let's say that Neil now is going to buy something from me. So I'm going to search for Neil, and I'm going to go to his activities, and I'm going to add a new activity, and I'm going to now set up and specify that Neil has purchased from me. So I'm going to go to my product and service related activity, and I'm going to say that Neil has purchased a website from me. And again, I can change the date as needed. I'm going to project that this is a $5,000 website. And so what I've done is I have recorded the fact that Neil has purchased a $5,000 website from me. He hasn't referred me any business, so that's still zero, but you can see that I have projected $5,000. So let's go and let's complete that activity. And let's say it completed on the same day. Actual revenue, $5,000. I could record expenses here if I want. Let's say it cost me $2,500 and it took me 40 hours to do. And there is some invoicing capability here in that if I can mark this ready to invoice, I can generate reports that are based on ready to invoice. So my admin assistant could come in here and run a report and see all of the people who are ready to invoice. Relate to Profit doesn't actually do any invoicing. I've added this as a way to communicate with my admin assistant. Once she generates the invoice, she enters the invoice number, she marks it as paid when it has been paid. And so Relate to Profit can manage that information, but it doesn't actually generate invoices. So I'm going to save this. And so you'll see now that the projected revenue is $5,000, the actual revenue is $5,000, and that this activity is complete. If I go back to Paula's information, this should have increased by $5,000, and I believe it did. I believe it was $9,000 when I showed it to you earlier. Now it has increased by $5,000 because she referred me to Neil. I added Neil's $5,000 project, and now her referred revenue is $5,000 more. So I hope that's clear on how to record activities, record referrals as activities, and then record revenue as activities, and have that revenue not only associated with the client, but with the referral source. At this point, I'm going to show you how to add a new sequence of activities. So I click on Add New Sequence. I select the sequence. I believe we looked at Schedule 1-to-1. So it puts in these activities here for me to show me what is going to be added. I put in a start date. Let's say it's going to start on the 31st. So these dates have been adjusted based on the information I put in when I defined the sequence under options. So I defined the email to happen on the day after. I defined a follow-up call to happen 1 week after the email. So you can see that these activities have been set up for me automatically. When I click Save, those 3 activities were added to Paula's activity list all together. The 1-to-1, the email, and the call sequence. I can now go edit these when they complete, and I can add my completion date. I can add notes and revenue. I can modify any part of this side of the activity also. So again, the sequence is a quick way of adding multiple activities all at one time as a starting point. Then you can go in and finish entering the information on that activity as the activity happens.